Hey, hey, welcome to the replay for this month, April's group laser coaching session. And since I don't have anybody here live on the line and I haven't got any questions sent my way, really got to check into this whole Facebook notification thing to make sure that y'all are knowing that this stuff's happening. So I thought that I would do a deep dive training session instead, which I'm going to start calling these laser coaching sessions deep dive coaching sessions, laser coaching sessions. So that terminology is going to be switched up for in the future, but I'm going to call this a deep dive training for today. So we'll do deep dive laser coaching and deep dive trainings. So I have this story on my heart because y'all know, for y'all that have been in the community for a while, I have over time updated you on different experiences that I've been having in my relationship, the different approaches that I'm trying, the different outcomes that I'm getting. And this was a pretty miraculous one. So I was excited to share it with you. I actually have a couple that I haven't shared in this group. So I'm going to start with this one. This is the most recent one. Now, for y'all that are new to my little tumultuous journey with my lover, my husband, my best friend, my teacher, my advocate, my supporter, my earth angel, my spouse, my husband, he has been a pivotal part of my growth over these years through his steadfastness of staying by my side to allow me to grow on my own, to giving me ample opportunity to practice what I preach within my own home. And this past situation had to do with our taxes and filing our taxes. So in the past, so definitely the last 4 years, but we've been together 16 years. So for the past while, a number of years, my husband is the type of person that he wants everything done way ahead of time. Now, mind you, he doesn't do it himself. He wants me to do it on his timeline, where I'm the type of person that a deadline is there for a reason because I have until then to do it. And for whatever reason, I have habits of procrastination, putting things off till the last minute. And quite frankly, I just don't enjoy doing taxes. So when it's something that I don't enjoy, I will put it off and put it off and put it off. And every year after I put it off, I say, next year, I'm going to do them earlier. I'll have them done by the end of February or done by the end of March. And I think that that was my commitment for this year that I made in 2017, that when I did those taxes, they'd be done by the end of March. Well, what happened? I went down to Georgia in March. I came back home. I had it on my radar. Oh, yeah, I need to do it. And then it was April 1st. And then it was April 10th. And I still hadn't done them. So it's the week before taxes are due. So taxes are due on Tuesday, the 17th. This is Tuesday, the week before. So I guess it was the 10th. And my husband looked at me and he said, you know, we're about to have an argument, right? Because the taxes aren't done yet. And what day are the taxes due? And I promptly said, the 17th. And he said, no, the 15th. I don't care what Google says. I don't care what it says for this year. Tax day is the 15th. You get it done on the 15th. Stop waiting until the last minute and get it done by the 15th. And I said, I kept it. Because the 15th was a Sunday. I wanted to be done with it over the weekend too. I didn't want to carry it into the next week. I want to be complete with it. And I had watched myself. I had given myself like a setup. I was like, okay, a couple weeks before taxes are due, I got childcare lined up. I have these slots in my schedule. I got this afternoon open. I'm going to work on taxes so that I can just get it done and get it done by like the 10th, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do it the weekend before they were due. That was my goal. But then the weekend before they were due, actually the week before that weekend, I had this time set aside, and every time that time would open up for me to work on it, something would happen. I would get distracted, as they say. I was like, oh, well, I've got this time. My daughter's taking care of. I'm going to need tax software, so let me go get that. And I get held up at the store for an unsurmountable amount of time, and taxes didn't happen. Oh, I've got this afternoon. Well, let me just take care of X, Y, and Z first. Anybody else do this? Like, I got the time I set aside for this, but now that I'm here, I'm going to actually do this instead. Yeah, it's a little manipulation game, a little negotiation game that we do with our future self that just perpetuates this habit of still not getting things done and allows us to justify our excuses for putting things off. I mean, let's just call a spade a spade. That's what it is. So I watched myself because, you know, I'm like the ultimate observer of myself. And I watched myself. I'm like, wow, I just keep letting this time get filled up with other activities and I'm not getting it done. But that's okay because we're going into a weekend and my husband's home all weekend. It's tax weekend. I'm going to get it done, right? This is the weekend before they were due. And Saturday rolls around and we have coffee and we're visiting as a family and hanging out. And quite frankly, I just love being around them. I love being around them. And the last thing I wanted to do was go upstairs and work on tracking tax information, right? And getting all those numbers in. So I was like, I just want to hang out with you and you're never around. So let's just hang out and I'll do the taxes next week. And he's like, whatever, as long as you do them, right? So we go through that weekend. Taxes still aren't done. He knows that I'm not doing them because I'm hanging out with him. And I go into that last week, and this is when he starts the conversation. You know, when taxes are due, get them done by the 15th. We're going to have an argument, right? And I thought to myself, I didn't have to say it out loud, believe it or not. Actually, I just thought this in my head after that conversation. I thought to myself, well, if we're going to have an argument, save it until after I actually file the taxes or until after we miss the deadline. Like, save the argument until there's actually something to argue over. Because if the argument comes prior, it's just going to be another distraction. And even let alone the time that the argument takes, but beyond that, then I'm going to be carrying the argument around in my head. I'm going to be distracted when I'm sitting down. So I appreciated his communication. I assured him I'm going to get it done. And then a miraculous thing happened. He didn't say anything about it again. He didn't mistreat me. He didn't treat me unkindly. He was still open. He was still connected. We were still getting along. Everything was still really beautiful. So then at this point, I'm realizing, like, wait a second, he's trusting me. Like, he's straight up trusting me. He is setting aside his preference to allow for my way, because his preference is that I've already got it done. The way that he usually operates is nag her until she's finished with it, push it into her head until she does what I think she needs to do. That's just the way that he works. But that didn't happen. He was trusting me, and I realized this. So this was a Tuesday, right? Tuesday goes by. Wednesday goes by. Thursday goes by. And I'm aware I'm still not doing the taxes, and I'm aware he's still not rocking the boat. We're still getting along. Everything's still cool. And he's trusting me. So then I get into this space where I'm like, wow, this is really just mine to screw up. He is trusting me. I am given the space, and I'm still not taking action. What's up with that? What's up with that? Because the last thing that I want is to fail the situation and to get into this argument. And really the last thing I want to do is prove myself wrong, right? I just want to show you that I know what I'm doing. So why aren't I doing that? Why aren't I doing that? I hope that y'all are following along and can relate to this. So I got very interested in that. I was like, what am I doing? Well, I'm making subconscious choices that ensure that I don't follow through on what it is that I'm really committed to, which is seeing this through. And I'm also setting myself up for the perfect storm to fail him. Like, I can't even blame him at this point. If it doesn't happen, it's not because he's nagging me or being a jerk to me or riding my ass about it. He's not distracting me. He's not throwing things at me. He's being loving and supportive and giving me exactly what I asked for. So why am I not doing this? Okay, well, a couple of things came to mind. One, what I'm feeling is what I'm healing and what I'm clearing out for the collective human consciousness. So imagine how many people were dragging their feet going through procrastination this last week before taxes are due. Now, that's some pretty strong energy if you think about it. I mean, you could feel it right now. Just think about it. How many people do you think put it off till the last minute, really dread it, really procrastinate on it, right? So what's the chance that part of my lack of motivation isn't because Chrissy's a loser and lazy and destined for failure, but because she's a super duper empathic healer and she's clearing out the collective human consciousness. And for whatever reason, she's empathing all this procrastination, not just the collective human consciousness, but her past experience of procrastination. What if life is lining up and my subconscious is making these choices to lead me into this experience so that I can have one of the last experiences of procrastination? And what if part of that gift of this last experience of procrastination is to go through procrastination still loving the one who's not doing what she said she's going to do? See the difference? It's not just shooting all over Chrissy and what's wrong with Chrissy and getting into this headspace around Chrissy's just wrong for being how she is, but understanding Chrissy's an empowered, empathic healer. And she is clearing the collective human consciousness that is dragging their feet, and it is all tangled up around money and income and finances and government and rules and laws and fear and all that stuff, right? Clearing that out, plus giving Chrissy the opportunity to go through the experience of being Chrissy, looking the way past Chrissy has, but loving the hell out of her this time instead of thinking that she's wrong for being how she is. And I realized that my subconscious mind picked out the perfect path for me to follow to go through this same situation that looks identical to my past situations, but experience myself differently as I go through it. So as I had that realization, it didn't just instantly motivate me to get the ball rolling, but it alleviated this pressure that was starting to build up inside of me that what's up with this? Why am I sabotaging myself? Why am I doing this to myself? That was starting to take it in a wrong direction, right? Because none of those thoughts that there's something wrong with me feels good. So obviously that's not a truth, right? From my book, from my playbook. Ooh, Chrissy's playbook for life. That would be fun to write. So I saw that this was happening and I realized that I was setting myself up perfectly. And then I just relaxed into it. In the space that I had to do taxes came up that we actually had a free weekend with my kid staying out of town with my mom and dad, or out of the house with my mom and dad. So we had a date weekend that had now become a tax doing weekend because I procrastinated and I put it off. I could have had the weekend prior where we had the kid around and my husband here to hang out with her, and I could have got it all done. And then we would have had a nice, open, lovely date weekend, but we didn't have that. Why? Because I put it off. So as we're going into this date weekend, and I still haven't done my taxes, and I'm putting all these pieces together energetically and emotionally, I'm understanding it, I'm processing, I'm healing it, and just letting it flow. I realize I don't want to just screw over my husband on a date weekend and only do taxes the whole time until it's done. I want to really trust and relax and ease into the process and just trust that it's all going to work out, because that's what I felt like would happen. So I'm going to pause that for just one moment to add in one other thing. The one other thing is I realized when I'm clearing out that I had subconsciously set up the perfect situation for me to go through something that physically looks the same but have a different experience of me. Plus, it allowed me to go through the experience and not just doing it the way that my husband said that he wanted it done, but to really just set it up to be a repeat of the past, to give me that chance. But I also realized that, oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. Hold on just 1 second, it'll come back. Oh yeah, I also realized that I was procrastinating. So I was like, why am I putting this off? What kind of experience do I think it's going to be? What happened in the past when I did taxes? And I realized part of the reason I was putting it off is because all that I was thinking about whenever I thought about doing my taxes was the actual procedure of it. Sitting down, tracking numbers, clicking spreadsheets, adding up. Also, I don't feel fully equipped to do my taxes. Like, I can answer all the questions in the tax software, but once I put in those numbers, I don't know how it comes out on the other side. So I never really know what I'm doing. So it's just a matter of going through this experience where I don't feel like I really know what I'm doing. Tedious little tracking where I'm not sure if I'm getting it all right and I'm just hoping for the best. Plus all this fear that society puts on us of doing it wrong and what's going to happen and right? So when I realized, whenever I was thinking about what's the experience that I'm avoiding, I was only pulling up that experience, this not so great experience of myself. So I thought to myself, well, what's happened in the past? Well, in the past, yeah, it's tedious. Yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing. But in the end, it always gets done. And in the end, it always works out fine. We always get money back. Like, everything always is okay. So I was like, wait a second. Instead of thinking about going into this, what are the steps and what am I going to have to go through? Why don't I go through it thinking that on the other side of this, I'm going to feel amazing? So that got me excited to go into it, looking at what I'm clearing, giving myself permission to be where I'm at, seeing how it was the perfect subconscious setup for a massive, massive healing experience of me giving myself love and support, making the opportunity. I would have never had my husband's support of not arguing with me and by trusting me if I had done it sooner. It's brilliant. I mean, like, far more brilliant than I would have picked out. And then whenever I thought about it, not from the standpoint of what are the uncomfortable tasks I got to go through to get it done, but what's the amazing liberated feeling on the other side? It really got me excited. So, okay, so now I'm jumping back. So now we're going into the date weekend, right? We got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, no child. And I don't want to spend the whole time doing taxes. I want to connect with my husband. Could you imagine? Like, in his head, this is what I'm thinking. In his head, I should have had taxes done a long time ago. In his head, we were supposed to spend the whole weekend together without a kid. And now here I am, ignoring him, doing taxes, blah, 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 right? That could feed into all kinds of mistruths and filtered stories and stuff that he's got going on in his head. So I said to myself, you know what? You're going to get this done. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. You always do. So go to dinner with your husband. Work on taxes till he gets home. Go to dinner. Enjoy dinner. When you're done with dinner, come home, work on taxes till time to go to bed. Wake up the next morning, serve a massage client, have coffee, visit with the husband, do a little yard work, and as things feel complete, Go upstairs in the afternoon, work on taxes. He can go off motorcycle riding, make a plan, be back home by 7:30. That'll give me 5 hours of working on taxes. I'll log out at that time. We'll go to dinner again. We'll hang out with each other again. And then when we get home, I'll get back to doing taxes. And then the next morning, we'll wake up, we'll go have brunch, we'll go get our daughter, come home, and you two can hang out while mom finishes taxes. And it was such an easy flow of the weekend. I was present with my husband when I was with them. I was present with my taxes when I was with them. Kind of. I was still distracted whenever I came into my office. I was like, oh, there's some clutter here. Let me organize this. I rearranged. I like cleared out and straightened up my whole office. Now, I still have like piles of stuff because it's just the way that my mind works. But this is pretty neat and organized for me. This is looking pretty sharp over here. And let me tell you how beautiful it was to be done with taxes and come into an office that was clean and orderly. So it was really, really great. Really great in the big picture of things. But still, I'm supposed to be working on taxes. And here I am like reorganizing stuff. I can't be the only one who does this. I know y'all do it too. So this is why I felt called to share this story, right? Okay, so day of weekend, things going smooth, hanging out with hubby, straightening up my office, getting a little tax stuff done, getting a little more tax stuff done. And then we come home, got the daughter, right? The weekend's wrapping up. And I'm telling myself Sunday midnight, that's my deadline. Because in my head, when you say it's got to be done by the 15th, that means midnight, 11:59 p.m. That's what time it has to be done. And I was actually on track and moving right along. 10 p.m., still working on it. Now, mind you, I could have had this all done already and not organized my office and not filed that extra paperwork and not done all these extra things. It would have been complete. But I was just taking my time, enjoying myself, enjoying the fact that I wasn't getting interrupted in my office, right? And 10:30, I'm almost done with federal. This is beautiful. I'm almost done with federal. I'm feeling great about it. Almost done with federal, just a couple more buttons to click, and then I can download the state software. That's only like 3 numbers, 6 check boxes that I got to do, and I'm going to be complete. Totally going to have time. Double check this before midnight. 10:45, our Wi-Fi goes down. Our Wi-Fi goes down because there's a thunderstorm passing through. One of the things that my husband says, you shouldn't wait till the last minute because what you going to do if the Wi-Fi goes out? And I'm thinking to myself, of course we're going to have Wi-Fi. Everything's going to be fun. And here I am. No freaking Wi-Fi. 10:45, April 15th, deadline pending, husband downstairs waiting for me to come downstairs and be like, baby, I'm done, got it done, high five. And I just kept right on working because I was going to get through everything that I could until I got to the point that I couldn't, which meant I finished the federal input, but then I couldn't download the state. So I couldn't even work on it. And now it's 11:15. And I realized it ain't going to happen. So now I got to go downstairs and I got to face the music. But thankfully, I made all these connections within myself. Thankfully, I've had this amazing experience of myself as I've gone through this. And thankfully, that backs up my confidence that says, I know why this is unfolding this way. I know it couldn't have gone any other way. I also know my husband ain't in the mood to hear all that BS belief system that I'm carrying, right? But I know it to be the truth, which gives me a level of confidence and clarity and knowingness within myself that says, now is your time. This is set up perfectly, not so you can get it done and show him, I can do things my way, but so that you can walk downstairs, you can look that man in the eye, and you can confidently say, you were right. If I were having to file this tonight, the Wi-Fi is down and I cannot complete them. They will not be done tonight. I am sorry. I owe you an apology. You are completely right. Had this been the actual deadline, we would have been in a different situation. Now, I'll pause again and say, had this been the actual deadline at 10:45 when my Wi-Fi went out, I would have packed up my computer, went and found some Wi-Fi, and I would have gotten that shit done because I'm Chrissy Key and I get shit done when I say that I'm going to get stuff done, right? Doesn't always happen, but when it comes down to this kind of stuff, I get it done. That's just how I am. I'm Capricorn. We're goal-oriented. I'm not going to stop till I get it done, even if I got to do it the hard way. It's just the way that I'm hardwired. It is. Now, you would think that that meant that I just do everything all the time. It doesn't. I psych myself out all the time. I talk myself out of things all the time, or at least I used to. Now I have a totally different relationship with myself where I can really shift things like I'm sharing with you right now through this training. I went downstairs. I looked that man in the eye. I didn't have an ounce of fear within me. I had no idea how he was going to react. I was like, okay, this is go time. Like, for real, he might break bad on me. He might just totally go off on me. I might have to deal with a frustrated, pissed off husband that doesn't talk to me for a week. I don't know. He might leave me. He had told me last year and the year before and the year before, just saying, that if I didn't have them done on time, that's it. We're done, right? Because that's just, the things that we say. So I looked him in the eye. I said, I am so sorry. You are absolutely right. Now, mind you, I don't usually say this stuff to him. Usually I'm like, see, all this for nothing and my stuff is fine and blah, blah, blah. And this is all the ways that I'm still right. And no, I just told him, you are right. You are absolutely right. You are so intuitive. You knew that Wi-Fi was going to go out. I should have listened to you, whatever, right? Because I'm just speaking his language. That's it. Just speaking his language. You're right. I'm sorry. And he's like, I told you that I was right. I told you that that could happen. And you are lucky that this isn't the actual deadline. And what would you do? And he wasn't really looking for my answers. He was just sharing with me his rightness, which I was ready to receive because he was right. Yeah. But I was also right because it wasn't the deadline yet. But that's okay. I spoke to him confidently. And then he said, well, what do the numbers look like? Now, this is where I usually will get a little, I don't really want to talk about the numbers because I know you're not going to want to hear them. And I don't want to have to answer all your questions. And again, this is not my area of expertise. So I don't really know why the numbers work out. So he has said, he's like, well, what are the numbers? And I told him, and he's like, well, why isn't it more money coming back? And this is, again, where I would usually skirt things, where I would say, I don't really know. It's just the way the numbers worked out. Everything was kind of similar, but these numbers were different. I don't really know. And if you want to sit down with a tax expert, maybe they can explain it to us. Like, I just skirt the issue instead of saying straight up, well, it's because we file everything together and my business owes taxes and everything gets put together, so we don't get as big of a return. I don't usually say that because I don't really want to say that because I don't want him to not support me financially. So I usually just wish-wash. But instead, I said, it's probably because my business owes taxes, and since we file it all together, then they're going to take that money from there and we don't get as big of a return. If you'd like to have all the money, by all means, keep all the money. I'm fine with that because my business does owe the taxes. And he said, so basically I'm getting ripped off. Pause again. This is usually where I go into, you're not getting ripped off, blah, 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 and try to convince him how he's not getting ripped off. But Chrissy is in super stealth master mode, and I can see and hear that him saying, I'm getting ripped off isn't a personal attack. It's the words that he would use to describe the situation. It's just what he would use. So he said, so I'm getting ripped off. And I looked at him and I said, I can see why you feel that way. And do you know what came out of his mouth next? Kindness. Everything was fine. Moving on. End of discussion. No fight, no argument, no unkindness, no mistreatment, no frustrations. Just an amazing man who got his questions answered instead of having a flaky looking wife skirting answers because she's scared about what he's going to say on the other side. I answered him, he was satisfied, and we moved on. And everything was cool. Mind you, I missed his deadline. I missed the deadline we agreed upon, and I'm ripping him off in tax return money. No problem, no argument, no asshole husband. Only the amazing man that I met and I fell in love with. Which leads me to wonder, had I been less scared, more direct and confident in the years past, would I have gone through any of the abusive situations that I have experienced? And I feel like because I broke out of my patterns of survival and habits of inauthenticity out of fear of losing something, and I was just willing to balls out, face the music in a very confident, certain way, that I allowed the space to receive in a way that I cannot receive whenever I'm playing so fearful and hiding so much of myself and lacking confidence and faith and changing the way that I experience myself. So of course, there's a part of me that's like, what the fuck's been wrong with you all these years, girl? You could have had a peaceful relationship, man. But no, I'm not going to shit on myself. I'm just going to realize the power of what I have now and appreciate with massive gratitude the amazing man that I was brilliant enough to choose to partner with in life and to be married. And actually, I have found a couple of conversations recently that I've had around my husband. People have responded, man, you're so lucky to have married a conscious and aware man. I wish I had that awareness going into marriage. And I'm like, no, that has not been my experience of him, but it is now, because I've changed the story of myself and I've changed the story of him, and I'm doing the healing work and I'm passing it over to you. So I want to know, can you relate to this story? Did this story impact you? Are you taking anything away from this story? Because it was pretty profound and magical in my world. We still to this day have not had any problem about taxes. The next day I did text him and say, so do you want me to go ahead and file them, or did you want to look at them? And he's like, I wanted that shit done weeks ago, so I don't even want to talk about it. So I said, okay, I'm just going to take that as my cue to complete them, submit them. That night I told him they were done. I told him the amounts, and that's it. No arguments, no problems. It's amazing. It's miraculous. It's unlike anything that I've ever experienced in my relationship with him. Why? Because I experienced me different, and experiencing me different, I was able to experience him different, and experiencing him different, it allowed him to be different. It's so powerful, and it's all me, not him curing his narcissism, not him taking self-responsibility. Me, radical self-expression, radical self-responsibility, radical emotional management, radical allowing and receiving. I'm telling y'all, I'm addicted to this shit. I have traded up my addiction to the drama for my addiction to fulfillment and peace of mind. My body's loving it. It's been settled for the past 5 months in this beautiful expression of self. My relationship's loving it. My husband's being heard. He's feeling more supported. I'm able to support him more. My daughter's benefiting from it. Now, mind you, she's also benefiting from the fact that I just had a weekend away by myself to get myself full to overflowing. Another training for another day. But I want to know, how was this for you? Helpful? I'm trusting that it is, or else I wouldn't have been called to share this story. And I'd love your feedback. So make sure that you comment below. And if there's any other questions that you have around the work that we've been doing together, be it the Message Mastery 1 and 2 or the Power Shift Success System, hit me up. We keep this conversation going, and meet me back here the last Wednesday each month, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, for a deep dive laser coaching session. We got healing sessions on deck for tomorrow, which is Thursday, April 26th, 1:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can tune into either session. Neither will be recorded. Both are the exact same thing. Come to whichever one you can. This is going to happen last Wednesday of every month, 3 p.m. Eastern for deep dive laser coaching. Last Thursday of every month, 1:30 and 8:30 p.m. group healing sessions. This month is a distant healing session. So you want to be on the line for this amazing, juicy little protocol that I'm going to be passing over to you. And yeah, I'll see you around Facebook. Make sure you turn on the notifications so that you can know what is happening. Check back here regularly, turn on the notifications. Just turn on the one getting notified by friends, and then at least you'll see the post that I put out there, I hope. I know I'm in a lot of groups that I've had the notifications turned on and I'm not getting notices. So check it out, be an advocate for yourself. And if there's another way that I can send you communication other than the emails that I'm sending, y'all got to open those too, or the notifications that get sent out to the group, let me know. I had even thought about starting up like a text. So if you're into texting, if that's helpful, I can text inspired ideas as they come to me, inspired thoughts as they come to me, reminders about sessions. Let me know. Let's use this technology in the way that best supports you. All right. I love you. And if you haven't talked to me yet for your one-on-one, get with me, because I owe you one and I want to connect with you. So I will talk to you soon. Bye. Love you.